People would have laughed at you if you had told them a decade ago that there are still wealthy CEOs out there. The internet has made it easier than ever to know just about anything you want. So with all this content and information available, how did you know which ones to know from and which ones actually work? Luckily for you, Fortune Fastlaner, this is part 2 of a 2-part series for the top 10 to 20 wealthiest CEOs. If you haven't watched the first part yet, there's a link down below or would pop up on top. Remember that while the first step is completing any of this amazing information, the second and possibly more important step is taking action, even if it's imperfect action. Top 14. Larry Ellison. American billionaire businessman Larry Ellison has an estimated net worth of $88 billion. Being the creator of the powerful software company Oracle, Larry Ellison amassed a massive fortune. Up until September 2014, he also served as CEO. Ellison ranks among the world's wealthiest individuals behind business moguls like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Bernard Arnault. When Larry's net worth briefly surpassed Bill Gates in the 1990s, the Microsoft stock plunged as a result of the Department of Justice antitrust investigation, making Larry the world's richest person for a brief period. Larry had held the title of highest paid executive in the world at various points in time, earning upwards of $90 million in some year. On March 12, 1986, Larry opened Oracle to the public. Coincidentally, that was the day before longtime rival Bill Gates publicly launched Microsoft. When Oracle went public, Larry owned 39% of the company. Due to Oracle's $270 million market cap at the end of the first trading day, Larry had a paper net worth of $105.3 million at that time. Oracle found itself dangerously close to bankruptcy in 1990. Oracle only had a few months' worth of cash in the bank after losing more than 50% of its market capitalization. Larry had almost been fired from the company after seeing his personal net worth fall from approximately $500 million to $150 million. In 2018, Larry Ellison quietly invested $1 billion over several months to buy 3 million Tesla shares. He has known Elon Musk for a long time, and he owned 1.7% of Tesla at the time he informed the SEC of his ownership. Following the company's 5-to-1 stock split in August of 2020, his 3 million shares increased to 15 million. Those 15 million shares had a value of up to $13 billion at various times in 2021, but generally closer to $10 billion. Ellison currently owns 22% of Oracle. 315 million of his shares have been pledged as security for loans and personal debt. He has made about $9 billion from Oracle stock sales and dividends since 2003. Top 15. Mark Zuckerberg. American technology entrepreneur and philanthropist Mark Zuckerberg has a net worth of $70 billion. One of the richest people on the planet for a significant portion of the past 10 years has been Mark Zuckerberg. Mark is the youngest of the top 100 richest people in the world. He is the youngest of the top 30 by more than a decade. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Mark's shares in Facebook account for the vast majority of his wealth. Mark currently owns roughly 400 million shares of Facebook in total, divided into different classes with different voting rights. He holds about 365 million Class B shares, or about 81% of all the B shares, and about 12 million Class A shares of Facebook. Mark is entitled to 53% of the voting power in the company through those Class B super voting shares. Technically, Mark also has Class B voting control over co-founder Dustin Moskovitz, giving him roughly 58% of the company's total voting power. On August 7, 2020, Mark Zuckerberg's net worth surpassed $100 billion for the first time. His net worth was $126 billion on January 1, 2022, placing him among the top 5 richest people in the world. Unfortunately, Mark's fortunes declined over the following few months, as in Facebook's stock's price fell by 50% from $340 per share to $170. His net worth dropped by $60 billion from early January to $65 billion by the end of April. In the same time frame, only one other billionaire in the top 100 lost more money. Due to this loss of wealth, Mark dropped from being the 5th richest person in the world to number 19. In the spring of 2004, Zuckerberg, Moskowitz, and a few friends relocated to Palo Alto, California, where they rented a small home that served as Facebook's first office. Peter Thiel, whom Zuckerberg met over the summer and who invested in the business. The group initially intended to go back to Harvard, but instead chose to stay in California. They had previously rejected offers from big corporations to buy the business. Peter Curry, a former CFO of Netscape, was consulted by Mark Zuckerberg in April 2009 regarding financing plans for Facebook. The 500 million user milestone was announced by the company on July 21, 2010. According to Zuckerberg, of course, Facebook is a sizable social network today that has elevated Mark Zuckerberg to the ranks of the world's richest people. $1 is Mark Zuckerberg's annual salary. That is not a typo. Similar to Zuckerberg, many business leaders prefer to underpay themselves in order to maximize company profits. The true source of the executive's wealth is from the company's stock holdings, which appreciate in value when the business maximizes profits. Executives like Larry Page, Eric Schmidt, and Sergey Brin each make just $1 a year in compensation. On May 18, 2012, Facebook went public at a price of about $38 per share. 400 million Facebook shares are owned by Mark, and that indicates that at the IPO, he had a paper net worth of about $15 billion at the end of the day. In his lifetime, Mark has promised to donate 99% of his wealth. He disclosed in September 2017 that he would sell off portions of his shares on a regular basis to support his CZI Foundation, Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, and his 2018 share sales brought in $5.3 billion in revenue. He sold $1.86 billion of Facebook shares in 2019. Top 16. Michael Dell. Michael Dell is a technology entrepreneur and business executive from the United States with a $52 billion fortune. In order to launch a highly successful computer repair business, Dell left college and gave up his unfinished medical degree. Eventually, this $1,000 project developed into Dell Incorporated. The annual revenue of Dell, a publicly traded company today, exceeds $90 billion. Approximately 50% of Dell are currently owned by Michael. One of the biggest computer infrastructure companies in the world, Dell Technologies, continues to be led by Michael as CEO, chairman, and founder. Although Michael Dell is among the wealthiest people on the planet, Dell Technologies is not necessarily the source of his wealth. Michael's ownership of his privately held investment firm, MSD Capital, accounts for a significant portion of his wealth. In addition to holding a sizable stake in Dell, MSD Capital also holds holdings in real estate, private equity, stocks, bonds, and other financial instruments. About $12 billion of the $16 billion in assets under management by MSD Capital come from Michael's own wealth. Throughout his time in college, Michael Dell continued to tinker with computers, and eventually he began to market upgrade kits for personal computers. He registered his business as PCs Limited in 1984. Michael incorporated his business as Dell Computer Corporation after experiencing successful sales. After that, Dell moved the company to Austin and hired a few people, each with $1,000 salary. By 1992, Michael Dell, then 27 years old, was the youngest CEO of a business listed among the top 500 corporations. During this time, Dell reported $1 million in daily sales. Michael founded MSD Capital LP in 1998 to oversee his assets. The business surpassed every other PC manufacturer in the world in 2001. Michael also left his position as chairman of Dell Inc. in 2004, but he continued to serve as CEO. Top 17. Phil Knight. Knight's contribution to Leica Animation Studios' success were in addition to his work at Nike. Due to its rapid expansion in the late 1990s, the animation studio, the Will Vinton Studies, has been looking for outside investors. In 1988, Knight acquired a 15% stake in the business, and his son Travis started working there as an animator. After eventually buying Will Vinton Studios, Knight rebranded the business as Leica in 2003. The stop-motion animated movie Coraline was the debut feature from Leica 2009. Since then, Travis Knight has received a promotion to CEO and president of Leica. Nike, the biggest manufacturer of sportswear and athletic shoes in the world, is owned by Phil Knight to the tune of 24%. Through a holding company called Swoosh with its headquarters in Delaware, he holds Class A and Class B shares. Travis Knight owns 10% of Swoosh, but Phil Knight is still given credit for the company. The Converse and Jordan brands are also owned by Nike. Top 18. Jack Ma. Chinese investor and businessman Jack Ma has a $34 billion total net worth. He is best known for co-founding the multinational conglomerate Alibaba Group and serving as its former executive chairman. He has occasionally held titles of both China and Asia's richest person. Ma's 160 million shares, or 6.3% ownership in Alibaba Group Holdings, and the online payment service Alipay account for the majority of his wealth. Ma also owns Ant Financial, which had a funding round in 2016 that raised $4.5 billion from investors for an implied valuation of $60 billion. However, it may be as high as $75 billion. Before Ant's initial public offering, he has promised to reduce his ownership. Ma also owns a 70% stake in the Cayman Islands-based business ABM. He also holds 35 million additional sales, valued at $3.2 billion, that are reserved for the Sim Asia Foundation, a non-profit. Jack also owns 48.5% of Zhejiang and Small Percent Microfinancial, a holding company for Alipay, in addition to his investment in Alibaba. In essence, Alipay is China's answer to PayPal. With a current market cap of $25 billion, Alipay adds another $12.1 billion to Jack's wealth. Jack's total net worth is $44 billion when you add his $12.1 billion stake in Alipay to his stake in Alibaba. Top 19. Eric Schmidt. American entrepreneur and philanthropist Eric Schmidt has a $23 billion net worth. Eric Schmidt is best known for his time as Google's former CEO. In 2001, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the company's founders, appointed Eric to succeed them as CEO. He successfully led the business through its wildly successful IPO. Eric served as Google's CEO until 2011, and up until 2020, he was chairman and technical advisor. Eric belongs to a select group of people who became billionaires while working for businesses they did not create. Megan Whitman of eBay, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, and Tim Cook of Apple are some additional examples. Eric worked for Bell Labs, Novell, the Palo Alto Research Center, Zilog, and Sun Microsystems before joining Google. He progressed through Sun Microsystems, rising from Director of Software Engineering to Vice President and General Manager of the company's Software Products Division. He held the positions of CEO and board chairman at Novell during that time. Google's most recent SEC filings show that Eric Schmidt owns about 1.3% of the companies known as Alphabet, and additionally, he owns about 4.3 million shares of Alphabet's Class C stock. Eric has sold his Google stock for about $3.5 billion over the past 10 years. Eric is also well known for being very involved in politics, maybe more involved than a chairman and CEO of a business like Google ought to have been. Top 20. Rupert Murdoch. Australian media tycoon Rupert Murdoch made his fortune by founding News Corp. Rupert Murdoch is $20 billion in wealth, and Murdoch, who is Australian, owns some of the most prestigious publishing houses in the world, making him a very powerful figure in both the US and the rest of the world. These include HarperCollins, Sky News Australia, The Wall Street Journal, The Daily Telegraph, Fox News, The Times, and numerous others. After beginning his professional life as the proprietor of a modestly sized newspaper in Adelaide, Murdoch eventually expanded and put a strong emphasis on global markets, particularly in the United States. He had given up his Australian citizenship by 1985 and had naturalized as a U.S. citizen for business purposes. Murdoch is one of the wealthiest people on the planet. With a net worth of $1.1 billion, he was the 60th richest person in the world. In 1990, Rupert increased his net worth to $3.2 billion by 1996, ranking 85th in terms of wealth in the world. His News Corp owned 800 businesses in 50 different nations in 2000, and the business had a total net worth of more than $5 billion. With a net worth of $5.4 billion, Rupert Murdoch was the 54th richest person in the world in 2003. A few years later, Murdoch's position among billionaires started to decline, and it was said that he had net worth of $6.3 billion and was the 117th richest people in the world. The 1980s saw the bulk of Rupert's real buying spree. For $250 million, Murdoch acquired Mark Rich's stake in 20th Century Fox in 1984 from Marvin Davis. Due to the trade agreements Rich had with Iran that they were at the time under U.S. sanctions, he was forced to sell. John Clutch, who was the richest man in the world in 1990, sold all of his independent television stations to Murdoch, who then bought them all. The founder of Rupert's new business, Fox Broadcasting Company, was made up of those 6 stations. Fox, which was established in 1986, quickly rose to the top of the media industry in the country. In addition, Rupert paid an additional $326 million to acquire Davis' ownership stake in Fox. That's it for this video, Fortune Fastlaner. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and if you feel like we've delivered value, please share this video with one person. That's right, just one person as a token of your appreciation for the hard work we put into making content that educates and helps you on your mission of building your own fortune. Remember, you can watch video after video, but it isn't until you actually take action that you'll start to see results. See you soon!